going on, fight fans? Hey, this is Coach the Wild Man coming at you again with another episode of Coach D Media. Now, you know I do with Coach D Media. I talk about all things combat sports related, from the highs to the lows. All right. We're going to talk about UFC 308 in a minute. Topuria versus Holloway and Whittaker versus Chimaev. But before we do that, I got some great news from your man, Coach D. Guess what? MMA is now an Olympic sport. I say again, MMA is now an Olympic sport. Your boy stuck with us in 2017, working with Gamma USA. We jumped on board, started working with UWW, which is United World Wrestling? Yeah, United World Wrestling. Hooked up with them. They petitioned with the IOC. The vote went down October 27th. A couple days ago. Guess what? We are now in the Olympics. It is on and popping. I'm excited for the future of combat sports, meaning MMA. I get to usher in a new era before I hit that final dirt. Now, that's all I got to say. Congratulations to Gamma USA for doing big things. My boy Justin Brown, proud of you, man.
How it works. There's multiple steps to becoming an Olympic sport. And, I don't want to say we jumped the line, but we got kind of, I guess, fortunate being involved with UWW. Let me just say who UWW is first. I don't know if anyone really realizes what happened today because we didn't jump into it. But there was a vote today at the annual conference which approved mixed martial arts, recognized it as an Olympic sport. And what that means is it's through UWW. The step one of that would be that UWW would have to make sure that there's no roadblocks at the IOC. So there's got to have some sort of approvals there to make sure that they can approve that as a sport on their side. That was done, and then UWW accepted that. They put it in the vote, and it was approved today. So as of today, mixed martial arts is technically a recognized sport by the Olympics.
Let's go ahead and get into it. Yes, UFC 308. What's my take? Primarily the co-main and the main events we'll be getting ready to talk about. Those two fights has officially changed the sport. We were riding too high on sports entertainment, and we were forgetting that we are a sport of mixed martial arts, right? It's about who can win and who can lose. I'm not saying these four fighters, one was rocking with entertainment and the other was rocking with fighting. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that hype with the UFC, Dana White favors who can move the needle, who can get butts in the seats, who can get people talking on social media. It can get you misleading. It can get you confusing, right? The hype can be so high one way that you may not think that fighter can't lose, right? Holloway was on an all-time high. Holloway is my boy. He just went ahead and dusted Gaethje, knocked him out, right? Why wouldn't you think he could body Topuria? You would automatically think that, right? Because all the hype was there. Anybody who's tuning in, if they was watching who was who, Holloway gonna come up for us. That's the entertainment side of the sport, right? Who's moving the needle? Topuria came on scene, doing great things, knocked out Alexander Volkanovski. Now he's in the spotlight to fight Holloway. Perfect storm, right? But still a new dude on the scene, right? Still making his bones, even though he has an undefeated record, still making his bones. A lot of people say, hey, we think Holloway could get him, right? First round, pretty good back and forth. You could tell Topuria had power. You could tell he knew what he was doing with his hands, right? And you could tell he's a little bit more sharper than Max. Now, Max had punches and bunches, had to reach in the height. He was able to get in shots with his teeth kicking punches that a smaller fighter would have to deal with, right? But Topuria had all that power, eventually caught Max, put him out, ground and pound, fight's over, right? Topuria is now officially the man. Beat arguably two of the best fighters in the division back to back. Who's done that? Not beat one, 5 years later when the guy passed his prime, beat the other. He beat both fighters in their prime. That sets him apart as the real deal, right? We get into the habit of letting fighters get out of their prime before the one they want to see be in the spotlight get the fight. How many fighters we know with 10, 12, 15 winning fight records? Probably not 15, probably like 10 to 12, right? Winning streaks, still haven't got the title shot yet. Officially in their prime, hunting for a title shot. Can't get it, can't get it, can't get it. Because the sport would say they're next in line. But the entertainment needle may not be there for that fight. Right? Or simply Dana White may not like them. Right? Even though their record says they should be getting a title shot. So now they're hunting for a title shot. Eventually, they get out of the window of their prime, or they fight somebody who's on the come up doing great things, and they get clipped. Now they lose their title shot. That's the downside of the entertainment side of the sport. Even though you should be by ranking in line for a title shot, you just never get it. Right? Now, you missed your mark, you passed your prime. Look at Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson was on a roll. 11 fight, 12 fight winning streak, knocking out all comers. Went past his prime. Now he's getting beat to death. But when he was on hot, couldn't get what he wanted. Right? Couldn't get what he wanted. Now, see, that's the Achilles heel of the sport. Right? When you're in your prime, you may not get your shot because your needle is not where it needs to be. If it was just about the rankings, a lot of great fighters who are in their primes with 10, 11, 12 fight win streaks will be able to get title shots when they need it. Not saying Topuria didn't deserve a title shot. He absolutely does. I'm saying to get what you're trying to get doesn't always favor a good fighter, right? But now that Topuria is on the scene, he is about fighting, right? He's not seeking the spotlight even though it's there, right? The difference between an American fighter and an international fighter who fights from a different country, their country's behind them, period. They don't need the American market to have a solid fan base because most nations support their fighters. Only in the States do we get a lot of this bull crap where you're hot one day, now you're not, right? If we supported our American fighters, like a lot of the international nations support their fighters, our fighters wouldn't be so desperate to fight all the time because they have enough fan base, they have enough social media marketing, they have enough fans in supporting them that they'll be able to make money through sponsor, all that kind of good stuff because they will have a solid fan base that will get it done. But we as fickle American fans, we ride sometimes, we don't. You know what I'm saying? So they're forced to fight, right? Topuria doesn't need the American market to be successful. He doesn't. All he can focus on, all he has to worry about is fighting, right? He didn't even care about the belt because the belt doesn't identify him. His people, his family, and his nation does. You see? I am international media. I do media around the world. I've been Singapore, Amsterdam, Bangkok. I'm getting ready to go to Indonesia. I've been to Greece, right? Solid fan base when it comes to their fighters. Here in the States, we gotta struggle to raise funds to compete internationally. A lot of internationals are funded by their nation. Right? They get all the backing they need when they're representing their nation. We represent all the time. We can't get sponsors. Look at the Olympics. I can't remember the athlete's name who was competing in the Olympics and couldn't get any sponsors so that she can compete in the Olympics. I forgot one of the rappers, right? Maybe a Flavor Flav had to send her money so she can compete in the Olympics. See what I'm saying? Right? So even though Holloway was on top, doing great things, the fan base and his notoriety and his status as a high-level athlete was the primary factor when it comes to this matchup, right? Not saying Max wasn't good enough because he absolutely was, but his star power was very high compared to Topuria at the time, right? Now he got knocked out. Now people are saying, hey, is Max done just that fast? Is Max done reached his limit? Blah, 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 blah. All right? You see how it goes? In America, you're hot one day, suspect the next. Every other nation backs their fighters. Entertainment versus the sport. You're 10 times more dangerous when all you have to worry about is the sport. You don't have to worry about your fan base. You don't have to worry about, making everybody happy, doing press tours, all these kind of good things that the American market need to get on board, right? They just can't show up and fight, right? Which is the problem for a lot of international stars who can't speak English, right? It takes time to build your name. You gotta go on these extraordinary, win runs before the American market is gonna take a liking to you because you can't talk English, you can't interact with them, so they're not paying you that attention unless you're just a destroyer of men like Topuria, right? There you go. Entertainment versus the sport. Not knocking what happened to Max. I'm saying how it's run. Entertainment versus sport. Hardcore fighters are starting to push back forward. Go, look, I don't need all the buzz. My country got me. I'm just here to beat a joker. All right? Now let's talk about Whittaker versus Chimaev. Right? Chimaev, all kind of problems with Chimaev. From weight cuts to everything. Because he's been trying to get into the American mold. Trying to get a fan base, trying to make money, all that kind of good stuff for the American entertainment side of the sport, which the UFC demands. The UFC demands that you follow our system of success so we can market you and make money off you if you want to get paid. If you're not going to do media, if you're not going to build your Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and all that, build your fan base, why should we pay you big bucks? Because you're not putting butts in the seats, even though you may be an undefeated fighter. Right? See how the entertainment side can mess with your future in mixed martial arts? It don't matter how good you are. It don't matter who you beat. It just matters, can you get butts in the seats? Right? Chimaev has always gone through these problems. All he wants to do is beat everybody. He goes, I'm the best. Can't nobody deal with me. Because he's a headache, the fans give him a whole bunch of boos. He's hard to match up. Some people say he can't find fights because he kills jokers. He kills jokers. So a lot of people, especially don't be an American fighter with a high fan base of Instagram, YouTube, whatever, and your name is hot. You're not gonna want to fight Chimaev because if he do what he did to Whittaker to you, your stock gonna go down and you scared to fight him. That doesn't make you care about the sport. That makes you care about your brand before your sport. That's the problem, right? Whittaker goes, look, I want this fight. I'm on the come up. I'm getting back in the swing of things. I think I could get him. Chimaev single leg dove from across the daggone ring, took Whittaker down and broke his jaw in the first round. When I say a fighter, I used to say mollywop, now I say body. Whittaker got bodied by Chimaev. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. Right? He ain't worrying about the money. Right? He's supported. He lives in Abu Dhabi now. Right? I think Abu Dhabi. I think is what he said. Right? So he gonna get back. He gonna get support. He don't need a UFC check. Granted, he want it because hey, he want that in the belt and the money. That when you get the belt, the money comes with it. Of course, he's won it, but he's not hurting for support. Right? All the other nations stay true to the sport. Right? Only American fighters lose sight of it because of the entertainment when they're dealing with Dana White. Well, look what Dana White is still trying to do to Francis Ngannou. Right? Even though the Francis Ngannou is one of our icons now. What he's done for the sport, from his accomplishments to his story, he should be royalty. Right? But Dana White's so petty, can't give it to him. Because he got away from Dana. Right? How petty can you be? Instead of giving that man, iconic status so everybody up who sees Francis will want to be like Francis from other nations. He could be one of the best international promoters the world has ever seen. Right? Influencers across the world because his story is unmatched. But because you're petty, you're not doing it. You say Francis ain't shit. Even though he's done so much for the sport, right? So Chimaev stopping Whittaker in the first round. Now Whittaker not only got to recover, he got to worry about his brand. Because entertainment factor is where he makes his money. He got to get his name back up so he can get another fight. Once, like I said before, you don't got to be a winner in the United States. All you got to be is popular. You can get your fights. Chandler 5 last 3 of his last 4, all right? Still can get headline matches. Still can get on the main card, right? Nate Diaz can be out forever, come back, still get on the main card because they're popular fighters. People are going to show up to see them fight, right? Win or lose. Win or lose. Look at John Jones. John Jones been out forever. I can't remember the last time John Jones fought. But he can still bring in the people. So whenever he shows up and gets a fight, I think he finally has a fight now, he going to get it. Entertainment versus sport, hard to deal with because these fighters who are covered, who don't need necessarily the UFC money or their accolades or their belt to be on the top of the game, right? Because they're backed by their nation. Like I know now, being an international media guy, being in so many countries and seeing how they operate, your nation got your back. You ain't worrying about the states. You just come to compete and beat everybody up in here. That's why Topuria and Chimaev is making such an impact because they're two dangerous fighters, right? When you're that dangerous and you're not worrying about the UFC trying to dictate, you're even twice as dangerous because you know what you're there for. You ain't trying to please the fans. You ain't trying to please Dana White. You just trying to win. See what I'm saying? That's all I got. This is Coach D. Doing what I'm doing. Calling it like I see it. To hear from me again. Peace out.